A 90-year-old man taking to the air in a Spitfire might be considered an important event in its own right, but this particular flight was a truly extraordinary piece of history. The man in question, a Frenchman called Albert Souttar, was flying in the exact same plane he witnessed being shot down over France in 1944.
Yeah, at the time, he was just a 15-year-old, still at school, and he helped the Canadian pilot to escape from the Germans. This weekend, Albert and the Spitfire were reunited in Kent. Robin Gibson has the exclusive story.
It would be an amazing moment in anyone's life, the chance to fly in a Spitfire. But Albert Souttar isn't just anyone in this story. The man and the aeroplane have a shared history. It goes back to a July day in 1944, when as a 15-year-old Albert saw the fighter shot down over France. They're both still here to share the sky in an extraordinary reunion.
It meant a lot to him to talk about it, and then the more we discussed with him about it, the more he had to say, actually.
It's been an emotional trip for the whole family. It took many years for the full story to emerge of how Albert risked all to help the pilot of a downed Spitfire.
Actually very surprising, and although I heard about it when I was a teenager, so I didn't understand the complete scope, the full story about it, because you need to understand what is the war, actually, to understand the risk.
This is the man he helped in 1944, Jimmy Jeffrey, a Canadian serving with the RAF in France. He'd been forced to bail out of the fighter, watched by young Albert Souttar.
We're not afraid at all, because it was normal life at the time for them. You could hear the noise of the bullets hitting the plane. He saw just a small dot. And then he waited a very, very long time before he opened the parachute.
Albert watched the pilot land and eventually met up with the Canadian. They hid in trees as a manhunt began around them.
Albert was keeping always his hand on Jimmy's mouth to make sure he was not making any noise, because he was very agitated.
The pilot was hidden in a chicken house until he was smuggled safely into the hands of the French resistance, who organised his escape. A few years before he died in 2005, Jimmy Jeffrey returned to France to meet Albert, who by then was a grandfather. And then there's the Spitfire, the other survivor, earning her keep on City Street, offering air experiences to paying customers. Years of restoration funded by her owners, Aero Legends, and years of detective work to uncover her war story.
It's a fantastic piece of history, and it's involved quite a lot of research over many years, trying to trace the pilots and their families and bring together the story of one aircraft, Spitfire Elizabeth, NH341.
This really is a moment of history. 75 years ago, he saw the plane shot down and helped rescue the pilot. All these years later, he's back at the age of 90 to fly in the restored Spitfire. Robin Gibson, BBC South East Daily, head call.
That's an amazing story, isn't it?